Good evening, I'm Sébastien Saint-François. Well, sources tell CBC News that a majority of Ontario's Liberal MPs have come together to call on Justin Trudeau to resign. As Rafi Boudjikanian shows, this marks another public blow for the Prime Minister as he considers his future in private.
As a parent, you never stop worrying. I heard that Polyev voted against $10 a day childcare.
A new ad by the embattled federal Liberals focused on attacking the Conservatives.
I don't want to worry about Polyev cutting pensions or raising the retirement age again.
But Justin Trudeau nowhere to be seen. The Prime Minister also refused to answer questions about his future all week and cancelled several year-end interviews. Now Ontario MPs, the largest contingent in the Liberal Party, have come to a consensus. 51 of them holding a meeting on Saturday determining the Prime Minister must step down. Sources tell CBC News they asked Chair Michael Cotto to deliver that message to Trudeau.
I have written even before yesterday's meeting that, in my opinion, majority of the caucus thinks it's time for prime ministers to step aside.
And Liberals across the country are speaking out, some seeing their leader as a liability.
We're in an impossible situation if he stays because he will be the ballot issue. We won't be looking at Liberal programs. We won't be looking at anything else. It'll all be a question for voters. Do they want Justin Trudeau to stay prime minister? I think they've clearly come to a conclusion on that.
With Trudeau not answering questions, his ministers are left to do the talking, some pointing toward the looming threat of a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods exported to the U.S., now potentially less than a month away, as Donald Trump prepares to return to power.
What I saw was an energized Prime Minister who's determined to meet that moment and determined to provide the kinds of supports for Canadians that we've become known for.
Despite that support, the Liberals no longer have a partner in the House of Commons, with the NDP saying it intends to topple the government in the new year. Parliament is set to return from holiday break a week after Trump takes the oath of office. Trudeau could delay that if he seeks prorogation from the Governor-General and is granted that request, something that could allow him to shore up what support he has left or make way for a new leader should he decide not to run in the next federal election after all. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Turning now to an update about a homicide investigation from yesterday. Police have arrested a 31-year-old man and charged him with second-degree murder in connection with the death of David Cardoso of Toronto. Police were called to the area of St. Clair Avenue West and Nairn Avenue just before 3 o'clock Saturday morning. They say an altercation broke out between a group of people before Cardoso was stabbed. He was transported to hospital and later died of his injuries, and police say the investigation remains ongoing, asking for anyone with more information to get in touch with them. Peel Police are once again offering a $100,000 reward about information in the unsolved murder cases of Jacqueline Gore and Ranelia Richards.
These investigations both are still wide open. These are cases that the Homicide and Missing Persons Bureau will not put as a cold case, will not suspend.
Gore was shot and killed outside a Mississauga bar in 2019, and Richards was killed outside an event space near Dixie Road and Eglinton Avenue almost 1 year ago. Peel Police say both victims were not the intended targets of the shootings. Investigators say there has been some progress in the cases since they appealed to the public for help in the summer. One person remains in life-threatening condition after a house fire in Etobicoke this afternoon. Police and firefighters were called to the house on Upper Humbert Drive around 12:30. Toronto Fire says they received multiple reports of children trapped inside. Police, who were the first to arrive, entered the home to search for them, and luckily, no children were found. Toronto Fire arriving shortly after.
Our crews actually could see the smoke and the flames from several kilometers away. They radioed in and communication center escalated this to a second alarm. Our first arriving crews made entry into the house. As you can see from behind me, the house was in severe fire conditions at the time. It had already flashed over from the second floor. Our crews located one victim. That victim was removed, vital signs absent.
Jessup says the victim was revived at the hospital. Officers and firefighters who went inside the home were treated at the hospital for minor injuries. Toronto Fire say they are working with residents who will be unable to return to their home. Firefighters remain on scene and the cause of the fire is still being investigated. I walked to the office this morning expecting the sun out, meaning would have meant that it wasn't too cold, but boy, was I wrong. And Sophia Cambalia from the Weather Network joins us now. Sophia.
Sebastian, yes, we're still shaking off that chill from earlier today. It was a deceivingly sunny Sunday morning because, boy, was it more of an inside day today. Let's recap this deep freeze that we had overnight Saturday and into Sunday. Minus 28 in Muskoka actually felt like minus 32 with the wind chill. Yeah, this isn't the wind chill value. This is the core temperature Sunday morning. Certainly an inside day. Too cold to go out and walk the dog in Toronto. Minus 17.9. It actually felt like minus 22. Hamilton really takes the cake. Minus 19, the coldest it's been since January of 2022, but it felt like minus 28. Ooh, yeah, cold just thinking about it. Monday, though, we're milder, back closer to the freezing mark, but that's because we have a southerly flow along with a clipper system that taps in to a bit of Gulf moisture to give it a little extra oomph. It's milder, but we could have a messy commute lunchtime around the Georgian shores. This clipper system is bringing widespread snow, and then afternoon and evening hours impacting the evening commute if you are heading to work on the 23rd. Some messy, snowy drives all across the GTA, so prepare for that travel accordingly. Overnight into parts of the Ottawa Valley. We'll talk later on in the show about how this snow, though, could make for a white Christmas for many of you. Some hefty totals, upwards of 15 centimeters north and east of the city. Sebastian.
Thank you, Sophia. Canada Post is back in service with their employees working through the weekend as they try to catch up on Christmas deliveries. But as experts and those depending on Canada Post tell us, a lot of presents still won't make it in time for the holidays. Nama Wingardin has more.
Linda Wade runs a Toronto shop selling seasonal decorations. She estimates her business lost $20,000 because of the Canada Post strike.
We really found ourselves scrambling what to do.
For Christmas cards, sales were down 50%.
What is the point in buying them? Because if they post them, they're not going to make them to the recipient.
Canada Post resumed services on Tuesday, and on Friday, the Crown Corporation said the parcels held up during the strike have been processed, with them now being delivered or going through their network. Canada Post employees in some cities have been delivering packages through the weekend to catch up. But that doesn't mean all presents will make it in time for Christmas.
We do have a few parcels that I'm tracking that went out before the strike, and we're just hoping that those few people are still going to get their orders before Christmas.
In Ottawa, the owners of Tinseltown Christmas Emporium say they're still in a tough spot.
They needed it for Christmas, and they know that it was stuck in limbo and that they weren't going to receive it for the holiday season, so they just want to be refunded, which I understand. But it's also stuck with Canada Post, and it's actually going to make it to the client's destination.
I think, regrettably, Canadians have missed the opportunity to use Canada Post services over the holidays.
For those depending on getting a package for Christmas, this expert says don't count on it.
I think anything that was caught in the system just before the strike, so mail that was put in the system on November the 13th or 14th, is probably being delivered and processed now.
Charities like Scott Mission in Toronto are also feeling the ache. They rely on Canada Post for 70% of their donations and say they lost $1 million because of the strike.
This is huge for us.
Their president tells us the delays with donations won't affect their plans for Christmas, but the losses can cause hurdles when paying for resources in the new year.
By the time they go write the check and mail it and it comes here, again, it's going to be like January. So it's everything is pushed back.
In a statement Friday, Canada Post said to expect delays for domestic deliveries into the new year. They'll start accepting new international mail on Monday. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
More than 1 week into the GST tax break, reviews are decidedly mixed. Belle Puri now with why the tax holiday isn't a hit for some Canadians.
The season to give is the season to spend, so a break on taxes seems like a good idea.
I don't know how much I've saved, to be honest, but they keep telling us at stores that there's no GST.
I've got 3 kids and, Christmas presents, groceries right now, everything's expensive. So, yeah, I think it's great.
Some merchants think otherwise.
It proved to be a little bit more difficult than we thought. A lot more work for the receivers, for the staff, just to change all the prices.
For more than a week now, Canadians have been able to save the GST on things like children's toys, diapers, beer and wine, and restaurant meals.
Anecdotally, we've heard from a couple of customers that that's why they came, but it wasn't a big mad rush through the door as a result of it.
But the long list of what's excluded from the 2-month GST holiday is confusing for some.
I am trying not to charge the tax for the items that I know for sure aren't taxable right now, but honestly, I'm just winging it and hoping I'm doing the right thing.
It's possible that news of the coming discount made shoppers delay purchases.
I looked at card spending for toys, hobbies, and games. And actually, after the 21st, when the GST holiday was announced, we saw a notable pullback.
The GST holiday, how's that working out for you?
Hasn't made a difference at all.
As far as I can tell, it hasn't made a difference.
No.
Yeah.
How's it working for you?
Wouldn't have a clue, because everything that we want to buy, the GST's on it.
The overall impact of the tax break won't be measured in detail until next month. But some merchants say it's a gift they're ready to return.
Maybe it's safest to say, would we like it to happen again? Probably not.
Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
Friday's Christmas market attack in Magdeburg left Germany and the world trying to make sense of a senseless act. But after 2 days of investigation and media reports, that mystery has only deepened. Jennifer Yoon reports.
In the sea of flowers and candles near the crime scene, a single question. The word in English, why? Why would somebody plow a car through a Christmas market, hitting more than 200 people and killing 5, including a 9-year-old boy? Some details are coming into focus. The suspect is a 50-year-old doctor from Saudi Arabia with a history of Islamophobic rhetoric. He's lived in Germany for almost 2 decades. German police haven't identified him, but international media are identifying him as Taleb al-Abdel Mohsen.
I thought I have to do something.
CBC News interviewed him in 2019, agreeing not to show his face. At the time, he was sharing information to help Saudi women seeking asylum abroad. One possible factor behind Friday's attack, according to a local prosecutor, the suspect's frustration with Germany's handling of refugees. His social media account is riddled with posts criticizing Islam, supporting the far right, and critical of German authorities, saying they had failed to do enough to fight what he calls the Islamification of Europe. Given all that, some counterterrorism experts ask, why would the suspect target a Christmas market?
A more reasonable or rational target would have been a mosque. We have seen attacks by Islamist extremists against markets in the past, against crowds in Barcelona, in Nice, and Berlin itself back in 2016.
Memories of that attack, claimed by ISIS, have left some in Germany to jump to conclusions about the motive. Anti-immigrant anger already percolating at the scene. Protesters calling for the deportation of non-ethnically German immigrants. Germany's federal election is coming up in 2 months, and the far-right AfD party has been surging in popularity. There are concerns that the incident will be exploited for political points. Before we know more about why this happened. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
China has announced sanctions against 2 organizations in Canada. Both are fighting alleged rights abuses in China involving ethnic minorities. The assets in China of the Uyghur Rights Advocacy Project and the Canada-Tibet Committee are being frozen. 20 people associated with those organizations face similar action and are now banned from China. Canada imposed sanctions on 8 former and current Chinese officials this month, citing alleged human rights violations. Donald Trump today said the U.S. may demand the return of the Panama Canal. Trump linked the stunning threat to passage fees at the canal. He said the U.S. was being, in his words, ripped off. Katie Nicholson reports.
Before a rapturous crowd of his supporters, President-elect Donald Trump issued a new threat that caught many by surprise.
That we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question.
This after a Saturday evening post on his social media platform. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous. He warned that the canal might fall into the wrong hands, hinting at Chinese influence. Panama's president, Jose Raúl Mulino, posted this video in response. Every square meter of the Panama Canal and its adjacent area belong to Panama and will continue to be, he said. The sovereignty and independence of our country are not negotiable. Trump fired back, posting, "We'll see about that," and "Welcome to the United States, Canal." The Panama Canal was built by the U.S. and opened in 1914. Following a treaty signed under the Carter administration, it was transferred to Panamanian control in 1999. Now, thousands of ships transit through the canal every year. 75% of the traffic is destined for or from the U.S.
He has no idea what the fees in the Panama Canal are, as my guess. And
this political science professor doesn't think it's a serious threat so much as a recycled Republican talking point.
It became an issue in the 1970s that got a lot of publicity when Reagan criticized Carter for giving the Panama Canal back to the Panamanians.
Of course, this isn't the first time Trump has mused about expanding America's footprint. During his first administration, he talked about buying Greenland. Of course, it never happened. And earlier this month, he posted about Canada becoming the 51st state, something widely viewed as an attempt to troll Prime Minister Trudeau. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
Over to Windsor now, where residents will need to pay a little more to cross the border into Detroit. That is, if they use the Windsor Tunnel. Passage there will rise by 50 cents as of January 1st.
Moving from $5.40 to $5.90 if you have an express card, or $6.75 to $7.25 for a regular credit card or debit card user. Any future increases haven't been finalized, so we would have to decide that later in the year.
Schudner says the price hike is needed for future projects. The change comes after the Ambassador Bridge announced their toll increase, which is also set to take effect on New Year's Day. Now, their change is a full $1 more than the current $11 price tag. Riders will have a third crossing option in late 2025 because the Gordie Howe Bridge continues to be on track for completion in September. Ice skaters now have a new place to skate in downtown Toronto. The Harborfront Centre opened its rink this weekend after its previous rink closed. And as Tyreek Reed explains, the opening is long overdue.
Enjoy skating at Harborfront Centre, everyone!
For the first time in 2 years, skaters can hit the ice at the Harborfront Centre. The rink reopened this weekend, and the community shouldn't have to worry about another lengthy shutdown anytime soon.
We've been able to purchase the rink so that we own it, and with that, it gives us the ability to bring it back year over year.
The previous rink shut down due to costly repairs and maintenance. In October, Toronto City Council passed a motion to fund a new rink at a cost of $425,000.
I have been visiting the Harborfront Centre my entire life. I took my niece skating for the first time in her life at Harborfront Centre. It's such a meaningful and important place to so many. It has so many memories.
Memories that could have been replaced by a new plaza on the site originally proposed by the Harborfront Centre as part of a larger revitalization project. A proposal Malik says had fewer benefits to the community.
And that is not acceptable for us in terms of what Harborfront Centre has meant. It's a welcoming hub of arts and culture and recreation on the waterfront, and skating has been a key part of that.
We hear from the businesses if they notice that the skating rinks are full that day, it definitely means there's more traffic walking past their business too and coming in, yeah, for sure.
And a full rink also means a happy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's a cool little vibe. You have the lights going on, music is nice.
So yeah, I enjoy it, yeah.
No, it's great. I think always when you get the opportunity to find new places to go skating, especially in the city with the views, it's always a fun time.
If you missed out on the fun opening weekend, the rink will be open until the end of the season in March. And if you don't have your own skates, then you can rent a pair for free on Saturday nights. Tariq Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
Sophia Cambalia from the Weather Network joins us again, and we're less than 3 days away from the big day, and a lot of people are wondering if we'll have a white Christmas. Sophia.
Yes, Sebastian, will it or won't it be a white Christmas? That's what everybody wants to know. We have a bit of a chance in the 9th inning here. A Cinderella story clipper will come in throughout the day Monday and potentially bring us that chance of a white Christmas. Here's Monday at lunchtime. Snows constant around parts of the Georgian shores and up to the Nickel Belt. And by Wednesday afternoon and evening, widespread snows impacting all the highways for your Monday evening commute if you're still working on the 23rd. Monday overnight into Ottawa, as we mentioned earlier. How much are we looking at here? Folks, some hefty totals, especially around the Georgian shores up towards Cottage Country in Ottawa, 15 to 20 centimeters in any of the purple highlighted areas. Around the GTA, north of the 401, you're looking at 5 to 10 centimeters and around 5 for those of you in the Golden Horseshoe, Niagara, and down to the Windsor area. That sounds perfect for a white Christmas, which is 2 centimeters or more of snow on the ground on the morning of Christmas Day on December the 25th. You'll definitely get that Monday for many of you, but will it stick around? Ooh. Temperatures are warm enough in some places to melt some of that snow, especially in London and down to Sarnia, but in the nation's capital region, that snow will surely stick on the ground. A really good chance for those of you there for a white Christmas. But it's a toss-up with temperatures around the freezing mark for the GTA. Now, historically around the GTA, we have a chance at having a white Christmas about 43 to 44% of the time. Well, we've got about a medium chance right now in parts of the GTA, pretty high chance in parts of Ottawa. And then, well, we're looking at sort of a Hawaiian Christmas or even a West Coast Christmas into next weekend. Plenty of sunshine, seasonal values after Christmas, and then a warm-up with rain forecasted into next weekend. Sebastian?
Thank you, Sophia. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching.